Okay, good evening and welcome to the Eastchester Town Zoning Board of Appeals March meeting, March 12, 2024. We start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, while we're coming to order, I usually take this opportunity to go over some of the ground rules and go over the calendar for the meeting. But before I do that, I would like to welcome our newest board member, Mr. Paul Weber. I'd like to thank you. You know, I got into a habit of doing this after the late Peter Nerzia died because people don't realize that this is community service and nobody on this board is getting paid. And so I thank you for your commitment, and I hope you enjoy your time on this board.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, you're welcome. And Mr. Cahalan, Mr. Miller, I noticed they're putting the younger people on the other side of this, of our dais. Yes.
Don't let the gray hair fool you, Alan.
Yeah. It's actually good to have, Mr. Cahalan and I especially are always railing about young people not volunteering, so we appreciate you gentlemen stepping up on the board. So enough of the camaraderie and the back and forth. So, few things. Number one, we run our meetings under Robert's Rules of Parliamentary Order. Essentially, every government and quasi-government agency runs their rules with either Roberts or Cushing's. It's a long book, but essentially, action is taken by motion and resolution vote, and members and the public have an opportunity to speak when recognized by the chair. I'm going to call the roll in a minute, but for those new applications, and tonight there's one of them, your matter is marked submitted. So what that means essentially is that all of the documents are part of a public record. So your answer to whatever application you're making, like for instance, if it's a area variance, the 5-part test, is part of the public record. So you don't need to come and read your application. You can if you want. It's not going to help your application. It's not going to hurt. I generally recommend that you quickly summarize. And then what we do with new applications, that the board has an opportunity to ask questions or make comments. And then on motion, the public will generally have an opportunity to be heard. The applicant would have an opportunity to respond, and it will go back to the board. So that's essentially the process. I also want to mention that no new correspondence is accepted after the close of the public hearing. So with the advent of technology, and particularly during the COVID period, people would frequently call in, send in emails, et cetera. That's part of what's the public record, I guess we'll say. So once we strike down the public hearing on the matter, nothing else will be accepted from the applicant or the public. So just make a note of that. Now, I want to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 9, 2023 meeting, and Mr. Weber will have the right to abstain. Let me go down. Do we have a second to my motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Now, on our calendar tonight, we have 7 matters for resolution. I'm not going to take them in a particular order, but I just want to mention that we have 3 adjourned items on consent. One of them is the Beach Street subdivision. The second is the 360 White Plains Road application, and the third is the Main Street and 27 Noon Street application. Those are all adjourned on consent. So the only new business item tonight is 190 Beach Street. Is the applicant here? Are you ready to proceed? Okay, thank you. Okay, so let's get to the resolutions. Number 1. I make a motion to adopt the resolution of approval for application 23-32, 600 White Plains Road. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
I will abstain.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. And I vote yes, that application's been approved 4-0. Item number 2, I make a motion to adopt the resolution of approval for application 23-40. That's 11 Wright Place. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
I vote yes. That application has been approved 4-0. Number 3, I make a motion to adopt a resolution of approval for application 23-34, Crema Cafe, 470 White Plains Road. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Conway to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber, I forgot to ask you before, I
I
apologize.
will abstain from this as well.
Okay,
And
thank
the
you.
prior one.
I apologize for not asking you. And I vote yes on this. This has been approved 3-1. Okay. Number 4, I make a motion, to adopt the resolution of approval for application 23-35 Total Form Fitness, 95 Montgomery Avenue. However, it's subject to the condition the applicant agreed to at a January 9th, 2024 meeting, which is reflected in a resolution, and that the proposed facility will be a personalized fitness center where all training sessions are by appointment only and conducted on a one-on-one basis with a client and trainer. The maximum number of occupants at any given time will be 12 people, 6 clients, 6 trainers. The analysis as to the variances, particularly with regard to the provision of off-street parking, was based on these representations. Therefore, use of the facility in a manner other than as described in this condition shall be a violation of this variance. No change in the operation of the use that would increase the scope of the use beyond that described in this condition may be undertaken unless a modification to this approval is granted by the Zoning Board of Appeals. Is there a second to my motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes. The application with condition has been approved 4-0. Number 5, I make a motion to adopt a resolution of approval for application 23-38, that's 220 Hillside Place. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes. The application has been approved 4-0. Item number 6 on the resolution calendar, I make a motion to adopt the resolution of approval for application 23-39, 122 Montgomery Avenue. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Miller, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes. That's been approved 4-0. Okay, on
Mr. Chairman, did
Yes.
you do Cross Hill?
We're up to that now. I took it out of sequence, and the reason being is I have actually 5 motions to the 5 parts of the variance, so that's why I took a little bit out of sequence, because it's the more lengthy. So I have a series of motions for application 2338 2 Cross Hill Road. Okay. First motion is that I make a motion to grant the requested front yard setback variance for this application 2 Cross Hill Road. Is there a second to that?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes. That prong of the application's been approved 4-0. Item 2 of that application, I make a motion to grant the requested principal building coverage variance of 2 Cross Hill Road. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes. That's been approved 4-0. Motion 3, I make a motion to grant the requested impervious surface coverage variance for the application of 2 Cross Hill Road. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Conway, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, I vote yes. That's been approved 4-0. Motion 4, I make a motion to grant the requested porch width variance for application 2 Cross Hill Road. Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, to the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
Yes.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
And thank you, and I vote yes. That's been approved 3-1. Last motion. I make a motion to grant the requested gross floor area variance for application 2 Cross Hill Road. Is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Conway. To the vote. Mr. Cahalan?
No.
Mr. Miller?
No.
Mr. Conway?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Abstain.
Thank you, and I vote yes, which makes that application denied based on a default.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, so in summary, 4 of the 5 prongs have been approved, and 1 was denied based on a default, which is a 2-2 vote. Okay, that's the end of the resolution calendar. Now to the one item of new business. This is application 2403. This is 190 Beach Street. If the applicant could come forward, state your name and address for the record, and please proceed.
Good evening, Chair, members of the board. Louis Campana, architect for the applicant, office at 8 Pasadena Road, Bronxville, New York. 190 Beach Street is a lot situated in the A5 zone. And as you can see here on the site plan, the property takes on a very awkward shape. Let me just try to zoom in here for you guys, for the public. So you can see how the front yard sort of sweeps inward towards the house as it then recedes off to the north. The proposed action here is putting a second-story addition over an existing legal nonconforming first floor footprint. The first floor is set 21 foot 7 inches off of the front yard, where a 25-foot setback is required. With the second-story addition, we're pushing that back 3 feet, not just so it's not as imposing, I guess, if you want to call it that, but to not increase the nonconformity of the existing condition. Along with that is a side entrance. I'll go to the renderings. Along with the second story addition, which you see here, which is over the existing garage. It's hard to see, but we do have a covering over a side entrance, which also exceeds the front yard setback. Now, you're allowed a covering over an entrance or a patio to extend into the front yard by 4 feet. However, where this is located, it extends 18 inches further. So it's, can you see that there? Let me zoom in. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's this covering right here over the side entrance. And we're converting the existing garage into a storage space for bicycles and sporting equipment. There are two spots on the existing driveway that fit within the property, the 2 off-street parking spots. That's it.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, at this time, we'll take any questions and/or comments from the board. So we'll start with you, Mr. Kalin. Any questions or comments?
No, I'm just happy that he explained, because I was concerned about that. I didn't get the front yard completely until you pointed it out. So when I went to visit, I was concerned it was really like a side yard, but now I see it, so thank you.
Mr. Miller?
No questions.
Mr. Conway?
No questions for me.
Mr. Weber?
No questions.
Okay, I don't have anything at this time. I'd make a motion to open the public hearing on this. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Would anyone from the public like to be heard on this application? Okay, seeing nobody, I make a motion to close the public hearing on this. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, since there's nothing for you to reply to, let's ask the board, because I'm obligated. Mr. Cahalan, any questions, any comments?
Nope.
Mr. Miller?
None.
Mr. Conway?
Nothing for me.
Mr. Weber?
No.
Well, the only thing I have is that I've reviewed your submission, that you, to my liking, you've answered the 5-part test, particularly how it fits in with the community. It doesn't, although the percentages seem to be substantial, they're really not as it relates to both side front yard setbacks. So at this point, I'm satisfied. I can make a motion to adjourn the application for resolution at the next meeting. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Kalin, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have 3 matters that have been adjourned, so all I have left is an application to adjourn tonight's meeting to April 16, 2024. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Cahalan, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.